It was a quiet Thursday afternoon, and the sound of sizzling fries echoed through the golden arches of McDonald's in the heart of New Hampshire. But little did anyone know, behind the counter, a face was about to appear that no one would ever expect to see in this fast food joint. Donald Trump, yes, the president and current presidential candidate, was standing there in a McDonald's apron, flipping burgers like any other employee. It was a scene that would shake the political world to its core. But why? Why was Trump, a man with limitless wealth, fame, and power, spending his time working behind the counter at a fast food restaurant? Was this just another quirky PR stunt, or was there something more? A fiery campaign was underway, and Trump was pulling stunts like never before, acting uncharacteristically humble, getting down to the ground level of the American worker. The cameras were ready, the reporters were eager, and the public? They were stunned. Everyone from his fiercest critics to die-hard supporters couldn't believe their eyes. It was a move that felt out of place in the glamorous world of high-rise buildings and private jets. But in the simple, grease-scented air of McDonald's, Trump was facing a challenge that no one saw coming, a test of his character, his resilience, and his leadership style. As news spread, whispers grew louder. What was he trying to prove? Was this an elaborate attempt to humanize himself before voters? Or was it a sign of something deeper, something more profound? Stay with us as we take you inside the fast food kitchen where Trump's unexpected journey would not only redefine his campaign, but also leave a mark on the American public's perception of leadership and humility. What happened next? It was shocking, emotional, and left everyone wondering, could this be the moment that redefined everything? Watch until the end to find out. The truth was about to come to light. No one would ever see Donald Trump in the same way again. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting an orange glow across the fast food restaurant, the political world was buzzing with one question. Why was Donald Trump, a president, billionaire, and media mogul, suddenly serving burgers at McDonald's in the middle of his campaign trail? It all started when Trump made an unexpected stop in New Hampshire, a state known for its unpredictable voters. He'd been on the campaign trail for weeks, delivering his usual speeches, visiting key supporters, and meeting with high-profile donors. But this time, Trump seemed different. He wasn't the same candidate with his flashy rallies and polished speeches. This time, he showed up unannounced at a local McDonald's, disguised in a McDonald's uniform, ready to work like everyone else. The first signs of something out of the ordinary came when Trump slipped into the kitchen, his presence only noticed by a few employees who were in disbelief. The workers, initially unsure if it was some sort of joke or elaborate stunt, quickly realized this wasn't a prank. Trump was serious. He was there to work. His first task: flipping burgers. The kitchen staff hesitated, then handed him a spatula. At first, there was a noticeable tension. Was this real? Was it a desperate attempt to connect with blue-collar America? Was Trump, the man who once called himself the king of the working class, really going to work for minimum wage, side by side with the people he had campaigned for? As the cameras and reporters outside the restaurant began to swarm, the situation grew more surreal. It wasn't long before the McDonald's staff began posting photos of the president and candidate working behind the counter. The media exploded, broadcasting images of Trump with a spatula in hand, his trademark hair hidden beneath a cap, his hands smeared with grease. Headlines read, "Trump flips burgers in bid to connect with voters." The response was immediate and polarized. Some saw it as a stroke of genius, an attempt to demonstrate humility, to show voters he was one of them. Others saw it as a desperate, tone-deaf stunt, a move designed to garner cheap headlines while ignoring the very real challenges facing working-class Americans. The questions began pouring in. A local journalist, known for his sharp criticism of Trump, approached the counter, microphone in hand. "Mr. Trump," he began, "why are you here? What do you think this is going to achieve? Does flipping burgers change the fact that you're a billionaire? Do you think this will make people forget your history of luxury and elitism?" Trump didn't flinch. He paused, looked the reporter in the eye, and smiled. "It's not about the burgers," he said, his voice surprisingly calm. "It's about showing up. It's about being willing to do the work. You know, people forget I built an empire through hard work. And I've seen a lot of things. But this is real." The answer wasn't what the reporter expected. Trump wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He wasn't playing the usual game of insults and jabs. Instead, he took a deep breath and turned to the employee beside him, asking if he could help with the fries. A strange silence filled the room. It wasn't just the media who watched with bated breath, it was the people in the restaurant. Some were impressed by his humility. Others were confused, unsure how to react. What was Trump doing here? Was this an act, or was it a real reflection of who he had become? But then, as Trump continued working, something even more unexpected happened. The workers, initially skeptical of the former president's presence, began to warm up to him. One employee, a single mother named Jenny, took a break and spoke with Trump about her life, about her struggles to provide for her children on a minimum wage salary. Trump listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't offer empty promises. Instead, he nodded thoughtfully and said, "You know, Jenny, I get it. It's tough out there. But you've got strength, and you've got resilience. I've seen a lot of people rise up from tough situations. Keep pushing forward. And don't let anyone tell you you can't do it." Jenny, with tears in her eyes, nodded, moved by his words. For the first time in the campaign, Trump wasn't talking about politics or power. He wasn't riling up a crowd with grandiose promises or playing to his base's emotions. He was speaking as a man, a human being, trying to connect on a personal level with someone in need. And for many, this moment marked a turning point. Was it genuine? Some questioned his motives, but others saw this as a window into a different side of the man they thought they knew. The atmosphere shifted. More employees approached Trump, asking him about his past. Some jokingly asked if he could offer any tips on running a business. Trump, without missing a beat, laughed and shared stories of his own early days in business. He talked about the importance of hard work, of learning from mistakes, and of never giving up. But most importantly, he shared something even more profound. It's not about how much money you have or the title you hold. It's about your character. How you treat people in the toughest moments, that's what matters. As the day wore on, Trump continued to work alongside the staff, interacting with customers, and even serving food to a few curious onlookers. His campaign team had been frantic, trying to control the situation, but for once, Trump seemed unfazed. He was in his element, not as a politician, but as a man working alongside everyday people. In the back of the kitchen, he smiled, as if he had just proven something to himself. Maybe it was about more than just getting votes. Maybe this was about something deeper. The media attention didn't let up. As the day came to a close, Trump left McDonald's, his apron still on, and the world was left with one question. Had this stunt changed anything? Or was it just another bizarre chapter in a campaign full of surprises? As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the bustling McDonald's, the atmosphere inside the restaurant became almost surreal. The media frenzy that had swirled around Trump's unexpected appearance had reached a fever pitch. His campaign staff, frantic and unsure how to manage the situation, watched from a distance as their candidate continued to interact with the workers and customers. They had expected this moment to be a distraction, a risky PR stunt that could go horribly wrong. But what unfolded next would defy all expectations. The tension in the room reached its peak when an uninvited guest appeared, a notorious political pundit known for his relentless criticism of Trump. He had been the one to call him out as a fraud, the one to accuse him of being out of touch with the struggles of ordinary Americans. Now, here he was, standing face to face with the former president, a man who was now a burger-flipping, grease-splattered symbol of working-class solidarity. The pundit approached Trump with a steely gaze. "Mr. Trump," he said with a sneer, "you've spent your life at the top. You've lived in golden towers, flown in private jets, and dined with billionaires. And now you're here, flipping burgers like a common worker? Tell me, do you honestly think this changes anything? Do you think people will forget your history of wealth and privilege just because you're playing pretend in a fast food joint?" Trump paused, his eyes narrowing for a moment. The room fell silent. For a brief second, it seemed like the entire world was holding its breath. The pundit, sensing the shift in the room, pushed further. "You can't fool us, Trump. You can't play the role of the humble worker. It's too late for that. Your wealth, your status, those things will never change. So, why bother with this charade?" Trump stood still for a long moment, the weight of the question hanging in the air. The room was now divided, some waiting for him to respond with his signature bravado, others unsure what to expect from the man who had surprised them all by working alongside the staff. Finally, Trump spoke. "I didn't come here to fool anyone," he said, his voice calm but steady. "I didn't come here to pretend. I came here because I believe in the strength of the American people, the strength that doesn't come from the size of your bank account or the title in front of your name. It comes from within. It comes from resilience, from hard work, from not giving up even when the odds are stacked against you." His gaze was unwavering, his words measured, yet full of conviction. "And I know what it's like to rise up from the bottom. I didn't get here by being handed everything. I got here because I put in the work." The pundit, clearly stunned by Trump's response, took a step back. The entire room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the fallout, but instead, Trump continued. "What I'm doing here isn't about me. It's about showing that no matter where you start, no matter who you are, you can work hard and change your circumstances. It's about respect, the respect that every single person deserves, whether they're flipping burgers or running a country." The pundit opened his mouth to respond, but the words never came. For the first time, he was speechless. A strange shift occurred in the room. What had started as a chaotic, confusing scene had now become something profound. The workers, the reporters, even the other customers who had been watching the spectacle, now saw Trump in a different light. This wasn't a billionaire pretending to be a worker. This was a man who had been through it all, who understood the struggles of ordinary Americans on a deeper level than anyone had realized. Jenny, the single mother who had spoken with Trump earlier, stepped forward. She smiled at him, her eyes still filled with emotion. "You know, Mr. Trump," she said softly, "I didn't think you'd really get it. But you do. You really do." Trump smiled back, his eyes warm and sincere. "I understand more than you think. And I'm here because I want to help. We all deserve a shot at success. We all deserve the opportunity to work hard and make our dreams come true." As Trump left the McDonald's, still in his apron, there was a shift in the air, a sense of change, of possibility. The pundit's sharp words had fallen flat, and the audience had been left with something more powerful, a message of hope, humility, and determination. The media, which had initially ridiculed Trump's actions, was now left scrambling to make sense of what had just transpired. In the days that followed, the incident became the talk of the nation. Some called it a brilliant move to humanize himself, others claimed it was a desperate attempt to earn votes. But one thing was undeniable: Trump had done something no one expected. He had shown the world that beneath the persona of the businessman and politician, there was a side to him that resonated with the struggles of everyday Americans. This was not just a campaign stunt. It was a turning point. Whether you loved him or hated him, Trump's actions at that McDonald's would go down in history as one of the most unexpected and powerful moments of his campaign. And as he continued on his trail, the world would be left wondering, could this unorthodox move, this act of working alongside everyday Americans, be the key to winning over a divided nation? As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the bustling McDonald's, a strange silence had fallen over the restaurant. The media frenzy, once a chaotic whirlwind, now seemed muted in comparison to the tension that had gripped the room. What had begun as a bizarre, attention-grabbing spectacle was now morphing into something entirely unexpected, a moment of clarity. Trump, still wearing his McDonald's apron, had left an imprint that would remain long after the lights of the fast food restaurant faded into the distance. In that small window of time, amid the grease and sizzling burgers, something had shifted, not just in the hearts of those who witnessed the event, but in Trump himself. The words he had spoken to the pundit were more than just a defense. They were a declaration of belief in the core principles that had fueled America's greatness: resilience, hard work, and an unshakable spirit to rise against the odds. These values were not just slogans or campaign promises, they were the foundation of what it meant to be an American. And for once, it wasn't about wealth or power, it was about the unspoken strength that lies within every person, no matter their background or circumstances. The world watched as Trump's message resonated. It wasn't just about politics anymore. It was about something far deeper. The single mother, Jenny, had seen it. The workers, skeptical at first, had warmed to his words. Even the critics who had come to mock him were left speechless. They had come with knives drawn, but in the face of his calm, sincere response, they found themselves disarmed. This moment wasn't about creating a political spectacle. It was about reaching beyond the rhetoric and showing people that no one was above the struggle. Trump had shown that even in a moment of criticism and doubt, there was room for humanity, for understanding, and for growth. The nation had seen a different side of him, one that wasn't focused on wealth or privilege, but on connecting with real people. A man who had once lived in the most opulent towers had now stood shoulder to shoulder with workers, speaking of resilience and hard work, of respect for each person's journey. For many, this was an awakening, a reminder that the things that truly matter in life aren't the titles we wear, the money in our bank accounts, or the public accolades. It's about who we are when no one is watching, how we treat those who can offer us nothing, and whether we're willing to show up when the world expects us to fail. As Trump left that McDonald's, the lingering sense of possibility was palpable. The division, the doubts, and the political noise faded away, leaving behind the essence of what makes a real leader. The powerful message that no matter how high you climb, you must never forget the value of humility, the importance of hard work, and the relentless pursuit of the American dream. This was a moment that didn't just change a campaign, it touched lives. It left an imprint on the American conscience, reminding everyone watching that no one's story is ever truly finished, and that greatness isn't defined by the heights we reach, but by the integrity we carry with us along the way. As the world continued to turn, Trump's unexpected stop at McDonald's became more than just a headline. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of the people, and a reminder to all of us that, sometimes, the most powerful change begins with the simplest of acts. It was a moment that didn't just offer answers, it asked us all to take a deeper look within, to consider how we show up in the world, and to remember that no matter where we start, we all have the power to rise.